So here we are at Adventure Trek 3. This has been an amazing program, and Adventure Trek is really about a group of individuals that have been really great friends of the Yukon brand for a number of years. We've got Yukon racing teams, we've got Yukon installers, we've got Ian Johnson, who was there far before I was ever there with Randy Lyman. Once the brands got developed, there were just a number of people that have just been faithful.
It was a great experience for me just putting it together. These are trails we do for fun, but to actually make loops out of them and bring some out-of-towners was a good time.
We're in Phoenix, Arizona. We've been anywhere from Phoenix down to 30 miles just outside Tucson. Just amazing trails, some of the most technical stuff we've ever been on, and we did it all day long. It's been awesome.
You know, Dusty and I have been doing this a couple years now, and I knew what he'd be into, but the other group, I'm like, I hope they're gonna be up for the challenge, because this was not gonna be a very easy trek for us.
We started off at Let's Roll Off-Road just outside of Phoenix in Mesa, Arizona. Amazing place, the guys are always busy. Great friends of the Yukon brand.
Let's Roll Off-Road, we're a full service center. We're the shop that can do it all. You know, granted, we really live in the Jeep space, which is awesome, right? I mean, I love the vehicle, I love the platform, but we do get into other vehicles too, all the way from full-blown, you know, Ultra 4 cars, all the way down to just, you know, some good classic stuff. So yeah, we really pride ourselves in my shop on just being the do-it-all, right? Like, there's no challenge we won't take.
I'm gonna hit you up. You got a Bronco Dana 20 laying in there I need to buy from you.
It's a Bronco one?
Mm-hmm.
We're enthusiasts that made a business out of this. We love what we do. We've been in business over 15 years now, and we pride ourselves in being one of the best in the country.
So after that, Steve Adams took us over to Nacho Lighting. Amazing what they're doing with lighting these days.
He's an enthusiast, right? So at the end of the day, the whole preface of the company was, you know, kind of a for us, by us company.
I've known Steve for a long, long time, and so it was neat to see him get back into that lighting game and take all the technology and the stuff that he's learned from one type of lighting and basically adapt it back into off-road lighting, which is pretty cool. And the lights are super cool, so I'm glad to have a pair on the truck.
Like, Steve is so smart that that I was amazed at what we got for a tour, and you know, it's really good to have Steve as a friend, because he's a smart guy, and not in just lighting. He's a smart guy in business and smart guy in a lot of other things. So he's really fun to be around, and I really enjoy that.
So from there, Steve and Andrew both took us over to Steve's house. Ranch style, just outside of Mesa, huge, beautiful pool, and a great place to entertain.
Pretend you like each other.
What we've got is 9 or 10 vehicles and 14, 15 people.
So we're gonna hit a trail called Elvis, Box Canyon, and Jack Handle. Then we're gonna go run up the Martinez Canyon. My goal was to keep these Jeeps in low range, or keep these vehicles in low range as much as I could, and hit vast areas that a lot of people never get to see.
It's really hard to put together an epic experience and not destroy everybody's rigs or to make everybody, because it's such a vast group. So you did a great job at that.
And
man. You really did.
That was part of the thing. I mean, I knew we'd have a bunch of different terrain we'd have to go through, but this was, we're gonna get out in the country and really see what Arizona's all about. We touched on it when we did Utah. Like, you did a great job through Utah. You're like, hey man, I'm gonna show you my state, and we're gonna do some things, and I wanted to take that to the next level, especially because Arizona is known for being some really rugged terrain out here. So we rolled out to an area east of Phoenix, which we call Florence Junction.
So on day one, as soon as we hit dirt, we were into technical crawling. The first 2 adventure treks were BDRs, and those are really built originally for motorcycles, and then all of a sudden 4-wheels took over. They're built to do in a day from a city to a city to a city. So this year we had the choice of, on all of these technical trails, and I got to tell you, if you want to come and you want to do a full 8 hours, 10 hours of technical trails, it just doesn't stop.
We started the trip right off, and we started hard, right? 4 low, lockers on, 2 strikes are out, you take the bypass type of trail.
Right?
That was Elvis, yeah. So Elvis was, you know, that's a very eclectic trail for us and kind of where we came from, but it was also gonna set the stage, right, to a high level for what the rest of the trip was gonna be. So, I mean, you're not from around here. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a cool obstacle. It was super fun. You know, I was immediately like, you know, I've got a big rooftop tent on my rig, and I was a little nervous about taking it really wheeling, you know, and we didn't climb the line that Andrew did, but we climbed the one right to the side of that and you know, went right up without a problem, and it was good, so.
So we were actually cruising in the Dynatrac Jeep all week, and it's got, you know, the Yukon zip lockers, of course, got to get that traction to the ground, but it was comfy. I'm not normally a Jeep wheeler. If you guys know me, I like my Broncos, but it worked well. We just kept on cruising, never even had to pull winch or anything. Neil was driving most of the time, I was driving a little bit. It was a great time.
Boom!
So one of the fun things that we had this year is Ian Johnson, who this is his 3rd trek with us. Adventure Trek 2, Ian had the Toyota. It was a 4-cylinder.
It's fun. It's a little more rock crawlery than I was expecting, which is why I didn't bring a rock crawler. But it's okay. You know, I'm pretty happy with how the Tacoma's working. It's acting like a rock crawler, even though it's not a rock crawler. And I had to bring it back so it would basically make up for the last Adventure Trek where it broke. So it had to come back no matter what. So since the last Adventure Trek, I did a V8 swap on it. So now it's got the Toyota 4.7 V8. And then the only other thing I was worried about on the truck was the rear axle, because it was a Tacoma rear axle, but I had wheel spacers and everything on it to make it the right width. And Dynatrac makes basically a Tacoma replacement high pinion Dana 60 that I could order with a custom width. So I was able to eliminate my wheel spacers. I now have high pinion for my rear drive lines, so I don't worry about it in the rocks. And I have the strength of the Dana 60. So I just put that in before driving it out here. And so far it's been great.
So, you know, our disadvantage on a trip like this is we're packing hundreds of pounds. We have all our gear, all our food, coolers, like we're out here for 3 days, right? And we know we're gonna hit a gas station, but you're really not gonna get what you need, right? So we were packed to the gills. So yeah, no, just having that extra weight on a trail like that. You go out recreationally and you know, the vehicles are a lot lighter and they feel lighter, but yeah, it's a different event with the rooftop tents, like he said, like we're living in these things. My Gladiator, I couldn't, it's like Jeep built me a vehicle for me. I build it specifically to do this, and I'm trying to even add up the amount of Yukon parts I have in that thing. I mean, from axles to lockers to gear sets to bearings, you know, it's like every damn product they have I got on that thing. And you know, it's a showcase for what I do in my business, right? So I want to be able to offer customers the highest level of quality at a great value and a great price. And it's right there in my parking lot to be able to come out and do a trip like this and know that all I got to really do is put gas in it, right? I mean, I got to prep it, I got to bolt check, I got to do my due diligence, but you know, for the most part, I just put gas in this thing and I go and do what I want to do. I mean, I'm almost you're the controller of your own destiny with products like this.
That's the tough part about being a spotter too, is like the last vehicle that you got through there clean
It's
totally different than the vehicle that comes in behind that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what happened in a couple of spots where the axles were a lot wider, so it changed the entire dynamic of the vehicle. So
It's super fun wheeling with these guys. I mean, the reason I love Ultra 4 and racing so much is because I've become so much of a family to a whole bunch of these guys. So people like Andrew, I went to school not too far away from him, so we hung out a lot. Dusty, I've been to so many events with him. He's such an amazing guy. So getting to actually just come out and wheel and not have all that stress around this is the stuff that makes everything fun.
I think that we've had a great trip because, I mean, really we left pavement just outside of Phoenix and we only got back onto it one time, you know, and that's pretty cool. But to have it all planned out, including fuel stops and where to stop in the morning to get more water or other drinks that you need, or just a coffee for the road, it's been well planned out for sure. He's definitely got this route nailed down for sure.
Every time you go wheeling with John, it's an adventure because he crawls more than literally anybody else in the world, I think. I mean, he obviously runs Crawl Magazine. We were out cruising a couple of these trails, and people like Andrew who live around here were like, yeah, it's my first time on it, really excited. And he was talking about last year, oh yeah, we cruised up this trail, and you know, you come around the corner and there's just this Mitsubishi broken down on the side of the trail, and it's been there for a couple years. I tracked down the owner, and like just the stories he has, and he's always super fun to wheel with.
After Elvis, we were able to get down into Box Canyon.
You never said we're fast race car drivers.
If you've ever watched Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, there is a place where they used to ride in, and it was called Hole in the Wall. And they would ride in because nobody could get in there because they would sit up on the top with the guns and everything and all that good stuff. We went into a canyon that was just like that. It must have been 40 feet wide with 200 foot just sheer cliffs on the side. So we drive in, which used to be a wagon wheel trail, and we just kept going and going. And these things, they were just like this with the car down the middle, and you're just weaving through these things. They were awesome.
That was actually really super cool. Nice and tight narrows where everything was, you know, you got to make sure you got the wheels in the right spot and everything. And the canyon was just beautiful. It had all this green moss on the rocks, which we don't get to experience anywhere else. You know, I've never seen that before.
You know, climbing out's super easy. You just kind of fall out. It was the climbing back in that was a little harder, but not too bad. Well, they said it was kind of an overlanding trip, but I don't overland all that well.
You're way over the land right now.
I'm way over the land right now, huh?
Yeah.
I was gonna get out, but it's kind of a long way down.
It was cool having Bailey out here. You know, he didn't get to do any other adventure treks, so it was neat having him out here riding with Neil. I think it was cool to see him out of his element. Everyone knows Bailey is just a race car driver, and so you don't think of Bailey as doing a lot of, you know, wreck wheeling, which he does. So yeah, it was fun to have him out here. It's always fun to have new people join us every year on Adventure Trek, which is cool. It's great to have everyone else back. You know, Dustin's here, Andrew's here. Those guys are just staples of Adventure Trek, but it's also good to have some of the new people out with us because they get to experience what we get to do all the time, which is super fun.
There's not many places that I've ever been in the country, or quite frankly the world, that you can drive through a giant canyon like this.
And you got to mention the Sapporo up there because those cactuses were just amazing.
So again, your accent's really bad.
Sapporo,
the saguaro cactus, yeah, saguaro cactus. Well, you're in the land of them. It's a species of cactus. It's a eclectic cactus with the arms hanging in the air, and these things are hundreds of years old. A lot of them.
The amazing thing is that so many of these trails here were all built, you know, back in the late 1800s because of the mining. Then the wagon trains came in, and then all of a sudden it's mining, and some trucks, you know, we're running on 37s and 42 tires. I don't know how they did it 100 years ago, but they did, and we thank them for their work. So in an overland situation with everybody out here, we've got rooftop tents, and then Bailey and I are on the ground. I think we're the only, oh, nope, I gotta say the Rockstar guys are on the ground too. I've got a one person from 23-0 swag that's just been awesome the whole time, canvas top. Then all of a sudden you've got the really cool guys who are up here in their rooftops. I see 23-0 well represented here at this, so Justin and the boys must be doing a great job from there.
Welcome to Casa de Sexton. Would you like a tour?
It's easier for sure. It's definitely better. It's nicer to have that up in the air. You've got a kind of a home away from home. You got, you know, the ability to put me, my wife, and the dog up there without an issue. I definitely love the rooftop tent. I didn't think I was going to when I first got it, and I do. I really like it.
When I built it, I always thought it would be cool just to be able to sleep in the bed. And that's what I did on the last Adventure Trek. But for this time, I've kind of done a little bit more to the truck. So I've actually done a complete frame replacement on it because the frame was rotten. I did the V8 swap that we talked about before. And I had to basically put a kitchen setup in the back. You know, I've got full power with a battery bank, I've got storage in there, and I've got my fridge. But most importantly, I have a pizza oven. So when I said that, Andrew had mentioned, oh, well, I have a pizza oven too, so we'll have a pizza cooking competition. And even though he says he won, I think I won the pizza cooking competition, to be honest with you.
I got the Starlink fired up if you need to call Domino's for your pizzas.
I came in guns blazing. I went in right out of the gate with my Nashville hot chicken pizza. So what we're gonna have is some breaded chicken nuggets. I've already chopped those up. We will be then mixing in some Frank's Red Hot with the pizza sauce to give it a little bit extra bite. Then what we do is we use the chorizo chicken sausage on the pizza as well as the chicken nuggets. A little bit of cheese on top, and then it's garnished at the end with some barbecue pickles. That's the hotness right there.
It was cool. It was cool. From an outside spectator, never owning a pizza oven, to see Ian get his whole spiel on his pizza oven, and he dials that thing in and he uses it once a week. So he had definite advantage over Andrew's crew. Andrew had the manpower advantage though. He had about 15 people helping him, which can sometimes be a detriment. But yeah, it was, he had a full-on sweatshop going on, pizza sweatshop, and Ian had the system already down.
Flavor Town, baby.
The pizzas were awesome. There was everything from chicken to pepperoni to prosciutto, and it was just outstanding, a great time. But to see Ian with just flour all over the guy, he must have done 20 pizzas, and I didn't see any leftovers when we got done.
Very authentic, like a cross between Canadian and Nashville chicken pizza. Like,
I think the addition of the hot sauce,
yeah,
good play with that.
Yeah,
good chicken too.
Yeah, it was
Hold on, I gotta get the
pretty solid. I mean, I'm gonna give it like an 8, 9.
We were all coming up with our own pizza flavors. Right. I came out and I did pesto with chicken and prosciutto wrapped.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to name it Bailey's Pizza.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's gonna be a thing. You're gonna be able to go into any pizza joint in the United States and be like, I want Bailey's
Pizza. Yeah, that was good. Yeah,
Bailey had it figured out.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a nice cheese pull right there.
And the cool thing about Adventure Trek is just the fact you get to hang out and have fun, you know, like basically getting everyone together. It's everyone that we know each other from different parts of the industry. So there's racers and there's builders and they're just people in general, right? And we normally only see each other at big events like King of the Hammers or SEMA or anywhere else, and everyone's too busy at that point. So to be able just to chill around the fire and hang out, it's definitely worth it. That's what makes Adventure Trek so much fun.
Today we're gonna kind of roll more south. We'll be in some more elevation today, a little bit tonight. I think we're gonna camp probably around 5,000 foot.
The Sapporos were amazing, and all the prickly pears and everything were amazing. And we got to see Gila monsters, which is not super common to see. So that's cool. We saw 3 of them actually, and that was really neat to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably only ever seen 3 Gila monsters, but your accent's bad. Yeah, I've only probably ever seen a couple of those in my life. And no, Arizona, people think of it as more just super dry, barren desert. Yeah. And yeah, if you go west, you kind of get into that, but the eastern Arizona is very green. We had a great winter this year.
Got up into the mountains, and once again, insanely technical all day long, just all day long. You were in low and you weren't going over 8 to 12 miles an hour.
Well, one of my favorite things about day 2 was we hit it like right out of the gate. I think Neil said it, and he's just like, well, there's nothing like this to wake you up in the morning, and you're in 4-wheel drive, like we're wheeling out of this.
Yeah, when we went up and looked at that, Eric and I went up and spied it first, I knew that the left side was actually a doable side if you didn't mind getting body damage.
There was this really gnarly obstacle. You kind of had to come in, and it was really high on the passenger side. However, it kind of put you directly into a rock wall. So the full-body Jeeps didn't quite have enough roof clearance to really get it up in there.
That climb on the right was the way to do it if you didn't want to actually get into the wall. And it was a doable climb. It wasn't that hard. I was a little nervous. Actually, I was more nervous about trying to get up the wall with an open front diff. I was worried I was going to be swapping power side to side, so I was always going to take that far right line. And the truck's a manual, so when you're hanging off the edge of a giant obstacle and you got the thing a manual transmission. It gets a little tricky. Luckily, Bailey jumped in, threw a wheel chock underneath my tire so it wouldn't roll back, and I was able to basically drive out with a little bit of emergency brake. Basically becomes like a four-handed operation. You've got the clutch, the emergency brake, the shifter, the gas, everything, trying to get it all to work. But we were able to get out of there, thank goodness, and had a good time.
So I'm the third car through, and Ian had already made it up well on the other side, and Bailey and Ian are up there going, no, somebody's got to go straight up the face. So we gave it a try. So that base pushed me over twice and right into some granite rock on the side. All of a sudden, there goes the mirror. Had to pull back and went up the right side where Ian and everybody else had gone.
I thought Neil had it with the wheelbase, but when we started to get him closer, he started to get the top into the rock, and I knew that was the end of it. So Bailey had him back out and take the other line.
Nobody made it up that gnarly V-notch line, which I think just says that, yeah, pretty legit line right there. But there was some little three-wheel motion coming up that other side, which still sporty in itself. I would say that's the hardest obstacle of the trip so far.
So that trail is called Charleau Gap, right? Charleau Gap is on the backside of Mount Lemmon, and Mount Lemmon's a big mountain range in Arizona, right? It's on the northern side of Tucson. If you've ever been to Tucson, you look to the north and you see Mount Lemmon. So my co-driver this year was no other than Riley, the Rye Fry McLaughlin.
It's kind of like a normal trip to me now. It's like I go on it almost every weekend, so I'm kind of used to it, but I think this is one of the best trips I had.
Sometimes you're out there and being the wheel guy is hard, and I just got to take a break. So I had to call in my co-driver to take over the wheel a few times on this trip. 12 years old, I'm like, she'll figure it out.
You took a nap, I almost ran into a tree.
Yeah, but after you almost ran into the tree, you were good.
Then all of a sudden we headed down, and it was just literally a small river that it was just back and forth and back and forth. It was absolutely beautiful.
And we crossed the river a ton of times.
Across the river, we were in the river.
Yeah, we were in the river.
Primo time of year.
Yeah,
we were catching all the snow melt.
Such a fun trail. Just for that, because it was legit rock crawling, and we're in the water some of the trip, and dog loved it. She was out in the water all the time. We stopped a couple times, let them swim around, both dogs, and they were having a really good time.
And then it was like divine intervention. We were actually trying to hit a different spot that night, and we came upon the most epic campsite that, quite frankly, I've ever been to in Arizona.
4:30. Eric wanted to push a little bit more, I think, and try to get to another spot, but it was 4:30 at night. It was an epic spot. We had to partake in that beauty, that area.
Well, you were like a stubborn dog,
I was
dude.
not going.
So he's down there, damn near parked, and he looks at me and he just goes like this. And I'm like, all right.
This is my first time ever camping in a spot like this, especially in Arizona. I didn't know there was running water in Arizona, so that in itself is pretty weird, but I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Second night's dinner was awesome. Those carnitas that your crew made, they've got this big wok that they use. They put a little stove under it. They throw everything in there. It's awesome. It's great to cook on.
Tamales.
Usually when him and I see each other, we're helmets down, damn near, right?
We're working.
Yeah. I mean, we're ready to go. Yeah. And sometimes you're seeing, we're seeing each other on the race course, right? I might not have ever said anything. Flip up the visor. Hey man, you good? Yeah, I'm good. Take, go, right? So this is a great opportunity for us to really slow down.
Yeah, it's so fun because we get to actually commune with each other. We get to be with each other and experience things together, which builds a community. You know, like I wouldn't have Ian as a friend if it wasn't for Adventure Trek. You know, I mean,
Ian, geographically,
we're just not close to each other. You know, and you know, I consider him a good friend. You know, when we went out to Tennessee last summer, we went to Ian's house on purpose to make sure we got to see him and everything. So, you know, it's kind of that's the same camaraderie. It gets built right here around the campfire, on the trail all day long, spotting for each other.
So day 3, get up again. Couldn't have had a better place for all of us to stay. As far as when you're sleeping on the ground, that green grass was absolutely amazing. We were about a half day, maybe a quarter of a day behind. And all of a sudden, once again, it's water crossings, which is perfect in a beautiful morning. And then all of a sudden, we started gaining altitude.
Still doing hardcore wheeling and everything. Like, I mean, we went maybe a couple miles and hit an obstacle that was a decent challenge, you know. Like there was everybody kind of struggled a little bit on it until we kind of figured out what the line was.
And we shot up into the mountains, and we were able to run a trail today called Rug Road, and Rug Road has a lot of history. This one's kind of neat because back in the day, they used to put pieces of rug and carpet down onto the ground to grab traction.
And and these weren't little boulders either. They were big boulders that you're crawling over. So I don't know what they were thinking with the carpet. Like I still can't fathom putting carpet down to make the traction better, but apparently it works, so.
And then as we climbed this last one, it was this beautiful overlook and a switchback up the mountains, which was just, I think it was one of my favorite parts of the trip.
So after we got off of Rug Road, we started finding some of the old mines. And these are stone houses that are still there and mining equipment. And the mining equipment is something that looks like a submarine that got brought in somehow. Again, this is turn of the century.
These are, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, people were out there building these roads that we're on right now, by the way. And not only building them, but they're building them to go mine this mineral out in the middle of nowhere. So we got to go through some pretty neat old mine areas.
It was really cool. Not everybody gets to see this stuff, and so when you're in the middle of it, stop the car, get out, and enjoy it for a while. We did.
You're telling me I'm driving on old mining roads that were done a lot of times by hand, right? These are guys out there with pickaxes, wedges, and they're dynamite blowing these roads apart to build these. And not only do we got to build a road there, now we got to bring our equipment in there, and then we got to do our job there, and then we got to get our treasure back out. It's wild, yeah. Coming out of Rug Road, and we drop into Turkey Creek, which we're in Turkey Creek, right? Turkey Creek has, it's a really neat canyon, kind of that sandstone. It reminds me, honestly, where you're from, southern Utah.
It just felt different. The trees are huge, they're different than they were. I mean, again, for 3 days, we've basically been running Arizona desert. And then you get down, you get into the shade, you get into green grass. I know we're here in April. It probably won't look like this in August, but it's absolutely perfect.
And there was this little building that used to be an indigenous building that we went out and checked out. Learned that was where they actually used to keep their food, which was just a really cool little building.
Tuna says, hurry up, you guys.
It's like a jail cell.
Go.
that's one thing that's really, really neat about Arizona. When everyone thinks about Arizona, they just think of like the saguaro cactus, right? The big old Wile E. Coyote looking cactus thing. That's the first thing everyone thinks about, but they don't realize, I mean, you've got terrain like this, you can go up north a little bit and it looks like Colorado, you can go down south and be in like legit desert. And on this trip, I think we've kind of seen all of those type of basically areas of Arizona, which are super cool.
This is our last night, boo-hoo, and everybody's out tomorrow. Great spot that Eric found for us.
You know, it's been a great track. It's going to be good just to wind down one last night before we hit the road tomorrow morning and I'll head home.
They call me Logger John. And I'm going logging.
One of my favorite nights, just hanging out by the fire, nothing better. We had some nice little river crossings. I'm sorry, Dennis, for getting you a little wet. And then we got to the highway and now we're back at Let's Roll, back where we started. Adventure Trek over, and man, it was an adventure.
For the most part, welcome to Arizona. This is what we do.
It was awesome.
Yeah, we like having a great
trip,
time.
man. I'm really happy we got to come and you know, enjoy this state. I'm coming back for sure.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody that's done this again. This is the third, obviously, Adventure Trek 3. Such a great time, totally different than what we did up in Oregon, totally different than what we did from Park City to Moab. Now we're in the middle of the Arizona desert. I want to thank everybody that's a part of this. The sponsors, Yukon, Nacho, Let's Roll, Mickey Thompson. Everybody's out here running with no tire problems whatsoever. So thank you for the guys that provided some traction for us out here.
The Yukon Adventure Trek has become a thing. We've done it in 3 years now, and it just keeps rolling. Like, it's amazing the feedback that I get. Just,
yeah, that was kind of the cool
doing?
thing tonight, was pulling into camp and everybody's like, what are we doing next? Where are we going next? You know, and so we're discussing all sorts of different options and what we're doing next year and how it's going to happen and what's going to make it fun. That's what tells you it's a good trip, when people are already planning the next trip before this trip's even over.
100%,
you know?
yeah.
So this won't be the last one. We have too much fun on these things. Adventure Trek 4, most likely late spring next year. Stay in touch with us on this thing. And again, thanks to everybody who's been a part of it. We love it.